being a senior citizen is sometimes if you're interrupted, you never remember. It's like I used to tell people it's I wander, but I won't come back. It's like, hello. So, but that's not the case tonight, is it? So we're going to talk about, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, the first step. The very first step in, actually this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. The title of the chapter is the first step to God realization. So I was going to use that as a title. Let's see, not really interested in God realization, are we? Have you noticed that? Let's all be straightforward. We want spiritual life. But God realization? I mean, am I missing it? But I've had experience with several religions. And, I was born a Jew. But my mother wasn't very religious. So when I was invited to go to the Baptist church on Sunday, I took them up on it because it got me out of the house. And the girl that invited me was the prettiest girl in school, and she was the daughter of the reverend. It seemed like the right. So I got to know Jewish. I got to know Christian. I got to know Catholic, Baptist. I got to know a whole bunch. And so I think I'm correct when I say that most religious people are not looking for God realization. Am I correct? I mean, think about that. You've got a lot of experience in the church. Am I correct? Yeah. Now that doesn't mean they're impious people. They don't believe in God. They're just wanting I want the benefits of being a spiritual person. So, the first and foremost, most of the Christians that I knew were motivated mostly, and I'm not slamming, I have a lot of Christian friends, but they were motivated by staying out of hell. I mean, you get right down to it, you get into the conversation. I was one of those children that was a real pain in the neck because I asked questions constantly. So when I was in church, it was the same thing. I'm asking, I read in the Bible last night, this, is this true? And they would be like, well, get this kid out of here, Oh, thank you. So I wanted to know. I had these questions and I just couldn't get what I felt were good enough answers. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times, if not most of the times, they just told me there's certain things God just doesn't want us to know, which was a nice way of saying, shut up, get this guy out of here. Thank you. So, but I noticed that people were trying to stay out of hell and go to heaven. So here I am, question. Why do you want to go to heaven? Well, because it's not hell. What do you get? Well, I'm going to be there. It's going to be, my family's going to be there. My grandma and grandpa are going to be. My wife will be, not my first wife, but not my second wife, but the third one. She's going to be there. The other two are going to be, oh, okay. My dog, old Fido, he's going to be there. And if there is a God, Fido will be there. So I started to realize, even when I was a kid, you're just trying to recreate what you have right here. I want a safe place away from hell. And I want my family there. The weather is going to be really great. Cable TV is going to have. And so, best golf courses in the world, well, outside of the world, just think of how great God's golf courses are. So I'm going to go there, and I'll do what I have to do to go there so that I can have some of God's property and use it for me. Now, am I wrong? Am I being too heavy? If I am, please say so. But that's what I gather. Now, that's pious. That's pious. I'm not meaning that, that's bad. People are very pious. I recognize that there is a God. I recognize that he has a kingdom. And I want to go to that kingdom because it sounds like a great place, and the other place sounds like a pretty rotten place. So I'm going to take the deal. I want to be, I'll go to your synagogue, or I'll go to your church. I'll follow your rules as much as I can just to get up there instead of down there. So this is all pious, but it has absolutely nothing to do with that word that we like to throw around a lot, that fashionable word, bhakti. We've all heard that word, haven't we? It's everywhere. Until, 15 years ago? Before then, we were one of the very few that ever, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas were the only ones that were kicking that term around. But then it got popular and it got to be hip, bhakti, which is a different way, it's a different name for piety. You're just pious. Because I don't think many of us understand what is that definition of this word, bhakti. Bhakti means sold out love. You're so much in love with God. And I'm not talking about awe and reverence, because he'll sniff that out. He doesn't like awe and reverence. Not that he's going to punish you, but you can't get close with somebody who sees you in awe and reverence. Can you? It's like, hey, how are you? Come, be my friend. I'm so, God, he wants you to come and jump in his arms, maybe play a joke or two, So bhakti means I'm so sold out. I can't even see that you're God. I love you so much. I'm so attracted to you. You're all I can think about. You're the only thing you're the only person I want to please. In other words, this is love. And so that's all Krishna wants. I say it's all he wants. That's a lot to ask from us, because we're spiritual entities. We deserve to have that relationship with him, but we've been so exposed to the material energy for so long that we believe this is reality. This material world is the reality. And the reality is you just need to grab as much of this world as you can. I'll buy this house. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking to buy a house, what's your phone number? So throw in.
And I am sponsored by.
And then somebody, if you ever need anybody to rearrange your, anyway. If you want to know the definition of mindfulness, we have, I'm putting in plugs for everybody. So, but we don't really include God with our spiritual life, or at least we don't enough. Because I've asked people, gee whiz, what are you going to do? You want to go to heaven? Yeah, I want to go to heaven, yeah. All right, so when you get there, what are you and God going to do? You just dump that on. What are you and God going to do? And they always get that same look. Should I have prepared for this? Well, he's going to be there. Well, yeah, it's his place, Or have we forgotten that already? We're looking to lay false proprietorship to our piece of his world when we get to heaven. I'm going to want a nice little piece of land with put a little picket fence around it, and that'll be mine. You see? Is that what we're looking for? I don't have any plans for God. I want his stuff. Just like when I'm here in this material world. I want his stuff. I want him to give me stuff. Starting with daily bread. It's like, hey, keep it coming, you know. I need to get that promotion at work. Come on, God, you got to help me out here because my wife is she's on my back. She wants a bigger house because she's pregnant. You know, I want. That's pious. A supreme source, and you're going to for help. That's pious, not bhakti. Bhakti means I want to serve you. And Krishna may say, but don't you need a few? I just want to make you happy. But isn't there something that I can do for you? Let me serve you. You see, no deal. I don't want to cut a deal. Like I'll serve you and I'll worship you and I'll say good things about you, but you got to do something, you know. No. Bhakti means I am going to serve you. I'm going to dedicate my existence to serving you because I want to show you how much I love you. You see, Krishna is like, well, what can I do for you? Empower me to serve you. That's all I want. So this is bhakti. So this is a little bit of a higher level than just being pious. A pious Jew or pious Christian, a pious Catholic, little bit higher level. I'm not saying that they're all nowhere, but this is a different level. So let's say that this is spiritual life. Spiritual life means I want to understand God. I want to know him, not just some, not just a lot. I want to know everything there is to know about him. I want to be face to face, nose to nose, toe to toe with this guy. I want him all. You see, I want to learn everything there is to know about this source of love. Well, that's got me interested. So let's define spiritual life as having that consciousness. Not that any other less consciousness is not spiritual life, but can you see where I'm going? Let's shoot for a little higher level, an eternal love affair with the very source of love. And this belongs to you. You're entitled to it. You have an eternal entitlement to having this ongoing, eternal, loving relationship with the source of love. Even though he could give you tons of money, really big diamonds, he could give you all kinds of jewelry, fame, distinction, he could give you, but you're just saying, no, I just want to have a love affair with you. I want to be able to demonstrate my love for you. And if I get that, I don't need anything. You see? So what's the first step? What is the first step to getting a relationship like this with God, or this kind of spiritual life? So therefore, I came up with that title, The First Step in Spiritual Life. Upper crust spiritual life. So every endeavor starts with, you got to have a plan, right? You know, you got to know where you're going. It's like everybody here, I'm sure, has used a GPS. I like to use this as an example. GPS works extremely good. I can't figure out how does this lady know She's coming from somewhere, and she's telling me to turn left. How does she know? You know, sometimes I even don't do it. I keep going straight to see if she'll catch me. Oh, make a U-turn. Jeez. I had this. It's almost always a lady, isn't it? I guess maybe in iPhones you get to choose. So there was a lady that talked to me for years. And I think 2 years ago, when I did my winter trip to India in West Bengal, I was checking to see, how long it is to the temple that I was in a taxi cab. I was okay, I wonder how long it is, so I can let the temple president know my estimated time of arrival is this. So I went into my Google Maps, and lo and behold, I had this West Bengal accented lady talking. Thinking, well, I'm in India. That makes sense. So we're speaking back and forth. And then when I came back to the U.S. that trip, she came with me. So she's still like when I go into maps, and I use it a lot, it's always the same gal. I think she's hoping to get a green card. So if any of you want to get married, I'm sure she'd probably work with you. So anyway, if you're going to use a GPS, you got to tell it where you want to go, don't you? It's not going to do a thing until you put in a location. You got to. So isn't it kind of like that with pretty much anything else, especially spiritual life? What do you want? Do you know? It's like Stephen Covey. Was it Stephen Covey?
Begin with the end in mind.
Begin with the end in mind. And I think he got that from Zig Ziglar. I think he might have, because Zig was doing that back in the 70s and 80s. But it makes sense. These are guys who, the Tony Robbins of the past. And they were telling you how to be successful in life, and especially in business. So you start out with the end in mind. What is it that you want? Or do you just go do, and do? And maybe someday you'll figure out, I kind of like this. I think I'll keep it like this. So why would spiritual life be any cheaper? What do you want? I want to avoid hell, and I want to go to heaven. We have a religious process that will take you to that level. What about God? Well, I'm sure he'll be there. I'll see him in church. Surely he goes to church. I'm gonna be in heaven. I'll go almost every Sunday. You see? Surely I'll see him there. Hey, God. Hey, I'm here. Yeah. So is this what you want? Is this the kind of relationship that you want with this supreme source of love? I mean, if you don't want a closer loving relationship, it's only because you haven't met him yet. You don't know enough about him. He's also all attractive. He is the all attractive person. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, after being cursed by a Brahmin boy to die in 7 days, Maharaj Parikshit was feeling great urgency to acquire spiritual knowledge. This is an ancient king from thousands of years ago. He was in a bad mood one day. He ended up getting in trouble with a Brahmin boy. The Brahmin boy cursed him to die in 7 days. So he was like, wow, I'm in 7 days. Nothing can stop it. So he decided to devote what little bit of time he had left, every breath that he had left, to finding out the absolute truth. So he found, he was able to get audience with Sukadeva Goswami, great preacher of the time, and Sukadeva Goswami was telling him about God and about the world, answering all of his questions. So this is a very famous discourse between the disciple and the guru. Sukadeva Goswami is going to impart to the king, who only has 7 days to make it perfect. So in the first chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Pariksit asked that famous question. Many of you probably know what it is he's about to ask. You're going to die. Ask me whatever you want. So Maharaj Pariksit says, after paying obeisances, he says, please let me know what a man should hear. What a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship. And also, I want to know what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. So he started out, because he was very wise, and we all know this, but we have to be reminded of some of this knowledge from time to time. He started out with wanting to know, what do I need to hear? Because we learn by hearing. Reading, hearing, same thing. Right? And a qualified teacher. He had a perfect teacher. He knew, you know the absolute truth. So you tell me what I need to hear, because I don't have much time left. And so that started the discussion in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, all those books up there on the second shelf.
First shelf here.
Up here.
First shelf.
We have the whole story. Everything that Maharaj Pariksit said in those seven days to answer these questions is in those books. So Sukadeva Goswami begins to answer the king's questions in the very first chapter of the second canto. The discourse starts. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. So, he said, this is glorious for all kinds of people. Why? Because we all have the same destiny. That's going to be unique, but our destiny ultimately is to return back to the loving arms of Krishna. Now you may say, well, that's not my goal right here today. It will be. It may not be today, but as you advance in spiritual knowledge, I guarantee you, as you learn about spiritual love, you're going to want to seek out the source of this love. You're going to seek the source of beauty. You're going to want to find this guy. Ultimately, you will. In the beginning, we may not want to, because what's the biggest fear we have other than losing your phone? 60% of Americans, their biggest fear is losing their phone. So the fear of the unknown. Yeah, that's what we're afraid of, and who knows God? I was coming out of London one time, and I was joking with the lady at the desk. It's British Airways, and makes me think of you whenever I tell this story. I asked the lady at the counter, I said, hey, and I'm dressed like a monk, and I said, hey, what do you say you bump me up to first class? And she says, oh no, I could never do that. That's not, look, I'm just teasing you. That's okay. Well, I had to hand her my passport and my the boarding pass that I had, because I have plenty of time, so I'm wasting time. So she stamps it or does something. I forget what it was, and she handed it back to me, and she whispered. So she wanted to make a show. Oh no, I could never do that, but she did it. So, long story short, if it's not too late, I'm sitting next to this Monsignor, and this guy was really a distinguished character, very handsome. This was many years ago, so he was probably my age. So I don't remember how old I was, but anyway, we chatted. We've got a long flight, 8-hour flight. So we're talking about religious life, of course. As we're about to land in JFK, we're going to wrap up our conversation. He said, it's been wonderful chatting with you, because we compared Bible, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam back and forth. It was really great fun. I made a new friend. And he said, it's very interesting talking with you. I love it. But isn't it a shame? None of us really knows for sure. And that was like cold water thrown on me. I looked at him and I thought, he had a gold cross. I don't know if it was real gold, but it looked like this big, heavy enough to make him bend over, and rings. And I'm thinking, you're such a distinguished man. He devoted his entire life to being what he is. And I'm sure he did a great job, because he was there for all of his life. What a heck of a career. But it kind of broke my heart when he said, none of us really know for sure. And I said to him, I put my hand on his and I said, yeah, but don't you admit that we should? Do you think there's a God up there that he's hiding behind a cloud or something? Hey, no, you can't find me. Is that what's really going on? And he said, well, it's something to think about. I said, really? You should know. God wants to reveal himself to you. So, Sukadeva Goswami goes on. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of the ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. Oh, Emperor. We have so many things to hear, don't we? But we definitely want to hear what the latest news is on the tariffs now, don't we? And then we want to go criticize. Wow, did you hear what he did today? What he said? Yeah, tell me more, blah, blah, blah. And then others are going to say, well, no, we hate the other guy. We hate this guy. We hate the guy who we hate. We just hate. So we can listen to all of that. We can listen to fashion news. We can hear about wars. We can hear about the economy. We can hear this prediction and that prediction. But nobody's going to tell you about this supreme personality of Godhead, are they? So there's so many things to hear in this material world that distract you from this path of finding Krishna. Until you start to say, Krishna, I can't find you. I want you. My dear Lord, I want you. When you get that feeling in your heart, Krishna opens doors. It's been that way for, 50 years. I don't look that old though, do I? He's got to say that because he's not. No, 50 years. And I've noticed that because I have that attitude that I really want you, he's opened all the doors for me to find him. You see? He doesn't want to remain your imaginary playmate. He doesn't want to be somebody that's just hiding behind a cloud, just an idea. No, he is your eternal best friend. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Shuridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am your best friend and ever well-wisher. If you're ever looking for a friend, if you're ever looking for shelter, Krishna's your guy. He's the guy. He wants to do it. He wants you to come Get in his embrace. He wants to protect you. Although there is nothing that you need protecting from except one thing: ignorance. You need to be protected from not knowing. Just like the gentleman was saying to me, we don't know. But you should have been protected from not knowing. You should know. If you invest faith, well, that's what every religion wants us to do, isn't it? Have faith. My son, have faith. Is that enough? Is that good enough? Is that what you want to do? You want to have faith? I don't think that's enough for you. If I have faith that you're going to be a good friend, sooner or later, I'm going to know, right? So knowledge is what I really want. I don't want to have faith. I'll have faith, but it's got to fructify. I want to know. I believe there's a God. I want to know if there's a God. Krishna says in the first verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is that you can know me in full. You become my loving servant and full, free from doubt. He doesn't say, you know a lot about me or get a really good, he says, no, you will know me in full, free from doubt, which is what we all want. So faith is something we invest, but the return on that investment is knowing. And if you never know, then what are we doing? You see? And the devotees of Krishna that I've known for 50 years, sounds strange to say that, even though it's been 50 years, but they all say the same thing. If I didn't get to the point early on that I got into the point of knowledge, of knowing, I would have never stayed. I wouldn't have changed my life to live this way or to associate with these people, even though it's fun. I mean, this is a fun lifestyle. One atheist I argued with in New York one time, he asked me, what are you going to do if when you die, you just get turned off? You no longer exist. And I'm going to say, well, first of all, I'm not going to know. If that's how it happens when you die, everything just goes black. You're not going to know. You see? And secondly, if that happens, I got to tell you, it has been one sweet ride. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, this is the most wonderful way to live. We feel, anyway, that we know there is a God and that he's the most wonderful, loving person. And we spend our days and nights trying to please him and those around us. So, with trouble and challenges, but it's the way we live. Even if there's big challenges, we get our share, don't we? But life is still pretty sweet because we know. So, do I get an extra 15 minutes? Is that late? So, Maharaj goes on, O descendant of King Bharat, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about the glory and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. So, this is your relationship with God. While we're in this material world, it's full of miseries. It's like right now, here we are in Arizona, and April in Arizona is really nice, isn't it? I mean, this is the quote-unquote desert, but we've got all these, what are these trees with the yellow blossoms?
Palo verde.
Huh?
Palo verde.
Palo verde?
Hello, birdie.
What about that?
Hello, birdie.
No. Anyway, they're really pretty. And so here we are. It's a great time to be in Arizona. And in the fall, in October, it's a good time to be here, you see. So, so now it's like the grass. There is some grass in Arizona. When the rains come, we're going to see grass coming up from places we would never think. You get out in the desert. My son goes to the desert every day. He walks in the desert and takes pictures and things, and quite an outdoorsman. And he sees from time to time, I'll look at his pictures and, wow, look, the grass is coming. Well, it started to rain. So the grass was there. And you look out and it looks like desert, but there's grass there. But the grass is dormant because it wasn't favorable for the grass to flourish during the winter or during the summer. It's not favorable situation. So, but when the rains come, as we hope they will, then all of a sudden it becomes favorable for the rain to flourish. I mean, for the grass to flourish, you see. So spiritual life is like that. We're not thinking so much about God or our relationship with God because the vibes in this material world are just not conducive to it. Why people have to strain so hard in this age to meditate. Most of the great Vedic teachers will say it's not even possible in this age because we have so much agitation. I mean, if we stayed maybe someplace where there was no internet and no contact with the outside world, possibly you could get into a state of shanti, enough peace where you could meditate. Now, can you meditate on the level that the great saints and sages did in the past? Probably not. They had a much longer lifespan, and they were taught it from birth. So we're in a world that has a climate that's not conducive to making spiritual advancement. It's very agitating, isn't it? Well, I mean, just driving down the street, so much agitation. So what we're trying to do with this Krishna consciousness, by hearing about Krishna, by chanting his names, talking his glories, is to create an environment that makes it conducive to the development of spiritual life. We want it to be conducive for you to make advancement in your pursuit of God consciousness. You don't like that name, Krishna? Right, call him something else. Call him Ram. He's unlimited. He has unlimited names. He favors that name Krishna because it's a loving, it's an affectionate name. When you say that name, Krishna, why, he hears that. Who is saying that? That's not a widely broadcast name. It's like you can call him God. Well, you get his attention. It's like the Supreme Court judge that comes home. Prabhupada used this. I like this analogy. Supreme Court judge comes home in the evening, hangs his black robe up, and his wife doesn't say, "Good evening, Your Honor." You think? She might say, "Hi, honey." She doesn't call him. She doesn't call him Mr. Jones. She's got special names. Some of them they only say between themselves, right? So this name of God, Krishna, is one of those special names. It's a loving, beautiful, most wonderful entity. It's a loving thing. So when you call Narayan, well, Krishna hears that, but you're asking for a different personality than Krishna. God has unlimited personalities. But when you say Krishna, then he knows, oh, you're looking for me. Because ultimately, he says it again and again in Bhagavad Gita, I, Krishna, I am the supreme personality of Godhead. Because this is the personality of mind where we engage in loving relationship without any awe and reverence. So Krishna can take away your awe and reverence very quickly. It's just like, has anybody, I'm sure everybody here has met a famous person, you know? And if you meet a famous person and you get to know them, why awe and reverence seems to go away because, well, I get to know so much about this guy. You see, at first it was like, oh, what? You're Paul McCartney? Wow, you're Paul McCartney? Whoa, I've always wanted to meet you. Awe, reverence. After a while, you're just Paul, my buddy. You know Paul? Yeah, I mean, gosh, man, we're like this, you see. So Krishna is this personality of Godhead that you get that close with. Why? Do you know him? Of course. Well, he's my best friend. But aren't you a little afraid? Of what? Well, he's my dearmost friend. My ever well-wisher. Why, I couldn't live without him for a minute. Now that I know about him, now that I know what he looks like, I can't exist without him. See? So now I'm caught up in this bhakti thing. So, and then even Krishna says, as you get more and more affectionate with him, he says, when it comes to religion, I want you to dump it all. Sarva dharma parityagya saranam vrajan. Dump the whole thing. Give up all forms of religion. Now, what kind of God would say that? He doesn't say, you get down to church and worship me. He says, you got me. Now let go of the religion. Religion is a vehicle that should take you to loving God. If it doesn't, you took the wrong taxi. Okay? You need to go try it again. Well, I thought I was passing out there for a minute. You'll be old someday too, so let's see. So I guess I should wrap it up and see if there's any questions. I've been talking. I got started late. Chandrika Sarvakanti. Isn't that a nice name to say?
Because you gave it to me. So, when we're sort of like raised and everything, we're sort of in the, you could say, the lower realm. And so there's a lot of self-interest that we're sort of raised with. And then if we decide to go, like you said, in the heavenly, pious, kind of here in the universe, that's also a form of higher self-interest. That and to go, like as you were saying, having a relationship with God, having a relationship with Krishna. Is it important, though? I would say it's important to let go of the self-interest that we're conditioned by in order to have that.
Excellent question. Self-interest is our biggest enemy. Now that flies in the face of material instruction. Tony Robbins would never tell you that. Either, what's the other guy, Stephen Covey, or they would never say that. They would say, oh no, you got to look out for you. But when you're in love, what happens to your self-interest? It's like it disappears because you're so interested on your beloved. That's all you can think about. So yeah, self-interest, it will destroy our spiritual pursuit. But to give it up, you've got to learn who you are and what you are. Because it's artificial for me to say, give up self-interest. Well, why? I'm in this mature world. I got to survive like everybody else. Now, what I'm saying is I'm identifying with this mortal body. I am this body, and I am part of this world. And everything in this world has to fight to survive. Even if you take birth or you get to come to America. You know, I've been to a lot of countries, and I got to say, this is a pretty great place. I mean, we have our faults, but compared to the rest of the world, this ain't bad, is it? You've been around, you know a lot of different countries. So, but even here, it's a struggle. When the thing on, it's actually kind of scary. When I came back from India after we were there 4 months,
4.5 months.
4.5 months. When we came back from India, when I left for India, it was on November 5th. That was election day. And so I landed in, I think it was Doha, changing planes. Where did we find out that Trump had won?
We found out between Doha and Calcutta.
Somewhere in the
air.
in the air. So, and I was thinking like, well, isn't that amazing? I had no idea. I didn't think he would, but I didn't think the other one would win either. I mean, I tell you the truth, it doesn't really matter. You know, they're all going to be what they're going to be. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many good ones yet. I've seen a lot of presidents come and go. But, you know, even though you're in America, it was very scary when I came back and got into the news of what was going on. Because a lot of people think here you are in the third world. You're in West Bengal, the third world. How many cops are there in Mayapur? We don't know.
Maybe.
Barney Fife, you know, there's like one, you know, so.
Not enough for the population.
You know, so there's people disregard speed laws and traffic laws because there is nobody to stop them. I'm not saying that this is bad, it's just the way that it is. So there's a little bit of uncertainty living in the third world, month after month, doing business. You know, when you have a household and you're trying to get things done, it's a challenge. But when I came back to America and I saw what was going on here, I was feeling a little, not afraid, but very cautious. Why, these people are really angry. How much anger do we see? Well, of course, we weren't in Doha long enough, but in different parts of India, how much anger do you see?
So much anger. They're just naturally loud.
They get loud and they'll, and that's all. That's it. They're not going to go burn your car because you voted for Modi. And we don't like this guy that is a friend of Modi's made your car, so I'm going to vandalize your car. And we have a country of people that are willing to allow this, maybe even encourage it. Being in a mode of goodness place like West Bengal for 4.5 months, that made me feel a little unsettled, I'll tell you. Because I'm thinking, I'm glad I don't have a Tesla. What do you do? Aren't you worried about?
Yeah, they sent me some stuff actually, and they were like, please be careful, like the Tesla company, because they were burning Teslas around.
You know, this is, am I the only one that's kind of creeped out by this? I mean, I'm thinking they would never do this in India.
No.
Well, nobody would do that. It, you know, so it's kind of like this mob thing that's, so
Tesla would be dented pretty fast.
it would what?
It would be dented pretty fast anyways.
Oh, yeah, everything gets dented in India. So, I'm getting off topic, aren't I? Don't you hate it when I do this? You know, Dr. Thomas came to hear about Krishna, and I'm talking about burning Teslas. What? What do you want now? Yes.
What do I need to hear? Did you finish answering that?
I didn't. Thank you for reminding, because I see what I mean. My mind wanders and it will come back, but you helped shoo it back. What do we need to hear? We need to hear about this guy. We need to hear about this supreme controller. We need to hear about this supreme source of love. It's like this guy said, I was in the Smoky Mountains camping one time. A guy that I think he wasn't a visitor to the Smokies. I think he actually lived there illegally. You know, it's on the line between the Cherokee Nation and Tennessee, and so there's some of these old Cherokees that have just lived out there and all of their life in the forest. And anyway, I ran across the guy, and I didn't think there'd be anybody where I was, but here's this guy, you know. And I'm asking him about the water. Is the water safe to drink? What's your opinion? And he said, water always tastes better at the mouth of the stream. And I thought, well, that makes sense. Now go to the source. You want clean water? Go to the source. If you go downstream, it's got a chance to be contaminated. So what do we need to hear? We need to hear from the source, not somebody who heard and then added their own 2 cents to it, and somebody else puts a political spin to it. What does Krishna say? Because we want to know, what do you want? What do you want, Krishna? I want to get close, but I need to know you better. So you got to help me here. You got to reveal yourself. And I need to know what it is that you want. I want to go, you see. Bhagavad Gita allows us to go straight to the source. He's quoted 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita, and he speaks most of them. You see, he's telling. How can, Arjuna wants to know, hey, who are you? Arjuna grew up with Krishna. The thing of it is, most people didn't know that he was God when he was here on the planet. He was just wonderful Krishna, the guy that everybody. And if you had told his friends or even his mother that he's the supreme personality of Godhead, they would say, no, he's just a mystical, he just has some magic. He's not God, he's my son. I love him. Oh, he's my friend. He's my this. You see? So, if you can get through the awe and reverence and just talk to it. And let's start by letting him do the talking. What do you want? Well, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is exactly what I want. This is what I want for you. And this is what I want for us. And it's not a new relationship. It's not like, let's start and see where this goes. This is the continuation of a relationship that's eternal. Before we came to this material world, we already had this loving relationship. In the laws of the material world, everything has a beginning, a duration, and an end. In the spiritual world, it doesn't have anything like that. There's no beginning, there's no duration, there's no end to anything, including us, and including our relationship, an eternal relationship. And it's based on love. Nothing else matters when you're dealing with Krishna except love. Now, if you want awe and reverence, he has personalities that he'll present that you can worship, that will strike awe and reverence into anybody. But when you want to get closer, you've got this Krishna personality to deal with. So we need to hear about this guy. I need to find somebody who will tell me. I can read Bhagavad Gita, but then we need to discuss it. It's like if I'm going to med school, I'm not going to just sit there and go to class and read the books. I'm going to have questions. I need to find out. I need to learn. I need to hear. Sanskrit word is shravanam, hearing. Then I need to remember it. And I remember it by discussing. Hey, what did you think? Have you read that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, what is Krishna? Do you think he really wants us to know all about it? Well, I get your opinion. So we're hearing, we're remembering. And at some point, we're going to put that location into our GPS, what it is we want. Nothing, I hate to be the bearer of bad. If you don't do that, nothing works. That stops the whole process. If you don't know where you're going, what is it John Lennon said? Oh, no, it was George Harrison. And that's it. If you don't know where you're going, any path will do. Well, some people think, well, that sounds really romantic. You can just go. Well, they don't know George very well. He was saying, look, you need to figure out where you want to go. What do you want? Then you have a destination. Or you can, it's possible to just wander whatever path you feel is good, birth after birth, for eons, and maybe you'll find something that's what you want. But the thing of it is, people in this material world are not looking for this loving relationship with God. All glories to this Monsignor friend of mine that I flew across the Atlantic with. He wasn't looking for God. He was very much like most people that I've known that are religious, and they're pious. I respect and feel admiration for these people. They're not looking for God. He's too doggone unknown. I don't know enough about him to be attracted. All I know is I don't know. And he's really powerful. Got a lot of money, a lot of influence, and I don't know anything about it. I'd rather keep him at arm's length. So therefore, it's much easier for me to feel that I can become part of his energy. That's easier. I don't have to get to know this guy. I'm going to go merge in his energy. And because he has no personality, he's not going to say, hey, what are you doing here? Huh? Oh, you trying to sneak in? What's that? Oh, well, glorious one. No, I would never offend thee. You know? So that's easier. I don't have to worry about getting to know this guy. There is no guy. There is no personality. Well, and that's partially true. You can go merge into his energy, into the impersonal Brahmjyoti. It's a real thing. You can actually do it. And you can stay there as long as you want. But you're not going to have him. You're going to have his energy. And if you don't get him, you've missed everything. You've missed it all. That loving personality. Let's pretend that we've made it into the impersonal Brahman. So here we are. Remember we used to? So here we are, and we're in the light.
There's the light right there.
Yeah, we're in the. So we're in the light. No, we don't have. we don't have bodies. We're merged into the energy. You see, we don't have bodies. So therefore, if you don't have a body, there's 5 things that are missing. They're called senses. Bodies have senses. No taste, no sight, no sound. You see where I'm going with this. But you're there in the light, squeezing all the bliss out of it you can. You ever feel like you need a hug? Forget that. we're all here together, but I don't know who you are. It's not a personal thing. You're there, I'm there, we're all there, and I know you're there, but I don't know who you are. I don't know a thing about you. I just know we're all here together in the light.
Tom says everybody comes back from the Brahmacharya.
Nobody stays. I mean, you can if you want to.
It must be a Jnana Yogi, because that sounds like a great deal.
Huh?
It sounds like good.
Staying in the, who are you going to love?
When you love, when you have perception.
But say that again and listen to what you just said. Yeah. Because for a lot of people that I've counseled in this lifetime, perception is all they've had. They've never had the real thing. So many things failed. Relationships, marriages, businesses, so many things failed. But I had the perception. I didn't get the real thing. What do they call it? Oh, you guys are too young. They used to be when you go to a carnival, you'd ride on the merry-go-round, and they had these brass rings, and you try to grab a brass ring as you went around, and that was considered winning. You know, remember that? You know?
I know the idiom. I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah, you're on the
Brass
merry-go-round,
ring.
and you're coming around, and there's a little ring from this machine, and you put your finger in it, and so that was considered you could say you grabbed the brass ring, meaning you won. So what is it? What is the brass ring if you're in the impersonal Brahman, the Brahmjyoti? This is a real place. We've all probably been there. And it didn't work out. It didn't fully satisfy us. It was great for a while. But who are you going to love? I mean, real throwdown love. So for that, you got to turn around and come back from where you left. Whatever planet you were on at that point, you just go back and try it again. Except in this birth, you're very inclined towards spiritual life, much more so than many people around you, maybe. Because maybe they haven't been there and found out that it was a great place to visit, but I couldn't stay there. Not enough love. Now, some people have said, well, gee whiz, love is everywhere. I'm feeling the love. You've probably had this conversation with people. I say, you're feeling the love of whom? Well, just to believe.
Love isn't just a feeling. Love knows that.
Yeah, that's the point. If you've been in love, then you know you got to have an object of your love. You don't just go out. How many people you see out in the desert just loving? Somebody comes up to you and says, "I'm in love." What's the first question you want to ask? With who? Immediately. Who is this object that won your love? I knew it was her, so it wasn't surprising. You see, there has to be an object. And if there is an object, there's got to be something about this object that attracts your love. Then there can be a love affair, an exchange of love. But just to send the love out without it coming back, without reciprocation, I don't know how long is that going to last. But you're an eternal living entity. You can stay merged as long as you want. Billions of years, if you like. You probably won't make it that long. You'll come back looking for love. Everything is driven by love.
If you don't know that,
We have to learn it. We have to learn that.
suffering.
If we fall in love, then it's like suffering kind of goes away. You know, I may be still suffering, but I'm in love. You see? Love really works like that. Now, I'm not talking about temporary hit and miss love that we see in our world, especially in the West. You know, was it 53% of marriages don't work in America? They end in divorce. Well, it's not like that in many other countries. In India, do you know what the divorce rate is in India? 2%. 2 out of 100 don't make it. So it's a big thing. What? But it's a whole different story to get in. Why? Why are they become so attached to each other? The families are incredibly close. They're almost as close as the Puerto Ricans.
Yep.
Am I right here? Different cultures. This word love means a little something different in different cultures, you know? So, yeah, we've got to have an object of our love. And that object has got to be able to steal our love. It's like it's taken from you. You don't have a choice. Isn't it like that when you fall in love? Yeah, people say, what made you fall for the guy? I was just knocked over. You know, I don't know.
It's funny how they never say rising in love. It's always you're falling or something. I always question that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, love is kind of like that. Of course, what's the real love thing going to be like when we rediscover our lost, dormant, eternal, loving relationship with the source of love? Wow, that's going to be a real minute, you know?
That's an infallible love.
Yeah, it's infallible. He's not a fallible soldier.
That's the only love that'll satisfy. That's the only love that will give you self-satisfaction.
The only love.
Everything else is obligatory.
And then we fall in love with his servants. You're serving my beloved so nicely. I have love and respect and admiration for you. That way all of Krishna and all of his parts and parcels are drawn together. This is the real meaning of it's all one. When there's love present, it is all one. Krishna says, hey, what do you guys want to do today? Whatever you want, we're with you. So we're thinking as one. My dear Lord, Jesus Christ, you're the Bible guy. Huh?
What verse is it?
I don't remember the.
Father in one.
Yeah, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. What does he mean by that? Does he mean I am the supreme personality of Godhead? No, I am just like him.
The source radiant out.
What he says, I say.
Yeah.
You're talking to him, you're talking to me. Because I love him. I'm swept off my feet. So these Krishna devotees seem a little wacky. I mean, they are, but they seem a little wackier than they really are sometimes. Because they're kind of wigged out in this love thing with Krishna.
Did you hear our kirtan?
Huh?
Did you hear our kirtan? I don't think
I
so.
heard it walked in exactly as I gave up.
Yeah,
I didn't know where you were. I was thinking maybe you were sick.
I was meeting with Mother Sandamani.
I was about to give a talk. I was like, all right, well, I'll just talk if he doesn't hear. And then I stopped the kirtan and you walk in. It was like perfect timing.
Krishna's in control, and I'm thankful. Otherwise, I could goof everything up. So I guess we've probably gone. Are there any more questions? What should I do? Should we ask more questions, or?
I think you should take prasadam.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'd like that. So thank you much for coming and hearing. To answer your question, we need to, because we're going to hear. We're going to hear about the tariffs. We're going to hear about this. We're going to hear about that. These stinking Tesla owners, and they're whining about people trashing their. You know, we're going to hear so much garbage. It goes in our head that it starts to come out of our mouth.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out.
I was going to say that. I did my Bhakti Vaibhava final lesson on that verse, these verses.
Yeah.
There's 5 verses, and so then after this verse, Shukadeva Goswami says, don't talk nonsense, don't hear nonsense. And he says, one should hear about, chant about, and remember the personality of Godhead at all times, in all places, under all circumstances.
And if you're in love, that's easy to do.
Yeah, right. It's the only way to do it.
But there is one verse, let me read this real quick. In the 3rd verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this is for people who practice spiritual life. These are auspicious people. Krishna says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. You could get this perfection, spiritual perfection, in the Brahm Jyoti. But you don't know the guy who owns the Brahm Jyoti. You don't know the source of it. So I really like this verse. I have to remind myself and many others about that. No matter how far you go in your spiritual advancement, if you haven't found the source, man, you missed the boat. So, all right, thank you all so very much.
One announcement. So next week,